Every life, every day is a hero's journey. Every life, every day is a hero's journey. Listen to the sound. Can you hear the message? Listen to the sound, beckoning to you, safe passage. Every life, every day is a hero's journey. Every life.
Please pray with me. As we just turn our attention to this moment, to this time, to this place, let us just breathe into this space and breathe out gently, freely, openly. And let us remember that there is a power, there is a presence, there is an energy that permeates all life, and we call it God, we call it spirit, we call it good. And what I know right here and right now is that spirit is present. With each and every one of us, we are surrounded by the divine light of the one presence. And in this knowing, in this realization, we also embrace the very idea that we are connected to the divine, in the divine. And it expresses through us and as us. So we just breathe that in and we allow that to permeate our being right now as we turn our attention to this time, to this message, allowing our hearts and minds to open up to new ideas and thoughts and letting go of everything outside of this space right here. So as we allow ourselves to be present, as we allow ourselves to be grounded, we know that we are blessed. We know that life is perfect. And we know that God is in all things. I give thanks for this. I give thanks for this time, this opportunity. And we let this all go, grounding it by saying, and so it is. I want to begin this morning with a quote from Dr. Ernest Holmes. It should be considered right to live and to enjoy living. To be well, happy, and to express freedom is to be in accord with divine law and wisdom. That's pretty simple. Pretty simple. We can be well, we can be happy, we can be free, and we can express freedom. So my question as we begin today is very simple. Are you happy with your life? Are you happy with how you're living and the things that are showing up for you? I want to look for just a few moments at the idea of happiness. Someone was telling me recently that there's a big difference between the word joy and the word happiness. And I have to agree, because happiness is a state of mind. It's an energy of contentment. Happiness doesn't have anything to do with the conditions that surround us, the things that are going on outside of us. Happiness has to do with what is going on internally and how we feel about ourselves, our lives, and the things that are going on. I remember not so many years ago when my mom was in hospice care. And I left the facility where she lived one day, and I was walking out to the car, and I was kind of had like a little perk in my step, and I stopped myself because I thought, oh my gosh, I don't have the right to be happy. My mother is going to be leaving planet Earth soon. And then what I came to realize was that even though I knew her days with us were coming to a close, I knew that the outcome was good and positive. And I knew that what was going on in my life was also good. And I had this sense of contentment. I felt good about where I was in life. I felt good about the very fact that I could support her and be with her and connect with her. and have those awesome moments during the last days of her life. And isn't that what we do sometimes, is we find ourselves being happy, and then we decide we don't have the right to be, and then we halt ourselves, and then we try to reel that in, and then we try to change everything. Let's don't do that. Let's just stop doing that. That doesn't work for any of us. Happiness is something that can exist for us in all things. Every expression of your life can be happy. The struggle that we have is that we tend to think that if there is pain or sorrow, then there can't be happiness. And I'm here to tell you that you can have all of it. That even if in a painful moment, even in a moment of sadness, there can still be that underlying contentment within the being to be happy. I think we are all our own worst enemies. We can turn the ship around, the ship that is taking us down the wrong course. And what we realize is when we shift our attention, when we turn that ship around, we find out that we were navigating it all along. So again, it's all about choice. Do you choose to be happy? I think in the way that things are in the world today, there seems to be an awful lot of disgruntledness. There seems to be an awful lot of complaining, persnicketyness, if you want to call it that. We're just not content with the way things are. I happen to know that each one of us can embrace contentment. Each one of us can choose to feel good about who we are and how we are. And we can still allow the rest of the world to continue. We can still pay attention to the conditions and take care of the things that we need to take care of, but we can have that inner feeling of contentment. I also happen to know that many of the thoughts that I have sometimes aren't my thoughts. I wonder if you have the same experience, where you have something happen and you choose to respond or react a certain way, and then you realize that wasn't necessarily the way you wanted to respond. That was something that somebody else taught you to do. You see, in our lives, we have been conditioned. We have been brought up to believe things are a certain way, and we have been taught many, many behaviors and beliefs that may not be our own. I know as children, we were taught to sit still. Move over here. Don't do that. Do this. Stop running around. Stop being crazy. Be quiet. And we had all these messages. I remember as a very small child being in an arena where there were a lot of adults who were crying and sad. And I was very small at the time. I didn't know at the time, but I was told later that I had been involved with a group of people who had been at a funeral. And so now they were gathering together, and there was all these tears and all this sorrow. And I remember being scared, feeling that frightened sense, and asking, "What's wrong?" And somebody telling me, "Oh, nothing's wrong. It's okay." And we've taken those messages and we've interpreted them and we've incorporated them into our being, so that when something doesn't feel right, we tell ourselves, "Oh, I'm sure it's okay. I'm sure it's all right." And what that does for us is it impairs our ability to have that sense of contentment. It impairs our ability to feel completely free. Today's talk title is The Journey to Freedom. We have been on a journey this month of February. We have been on a journey where we have talked about the single journey that we are all making through life and the many paths that we are all on. And today we look at that journey to freedom. What is within you is what will decide how free you are and how free you can feel. There are so many things that impact us. I always say that when it feels like something has gone wrong or something has gone right, it's never just one thing. It's multiple things. We have had social conditioning. We have cultural conditioning. We've had all these influences in our lives. And you are constructing your life based on what you have been taught to believe and what you believe. And I think it's a good time for each of us to ask the question, is this what I truly believe? So there are ways that we can kind of stop this this sense that we are stuck or we are conditioned or we have to respond a certain way. One is to observe what's going on in this moment and ask yourself how you feel about it. If no one was judging you, if no one was going to tell you you were right or wrong, how would you feel right now? Because that helps us to regain that sense of self. And we can adjust our beliefs accordingly. Nishan Panwar says it this way: choose your thoughts carefully. Keep what brings you peace. Release what brings you suffering, and know that happiness is just a thought away. Happiness is just a thought away. Another way to shift this is practice. Practice, practice, practice. I'm always talking about this because every day of our lives is a new opportunity to practice something new, to practice a different behavior, to practice another way to show up. And the more we practice, the better we get at it. Sooner we will be able to master our lives. And while I know that we don't ever finally reach that final goal, that continuation, that desire to continue through, is a very positive step for each of us. You see, happiness and joy are two different things. Joy is more of a sense of elation. It's actually a bit of a high. And happiness is more of a sense of calm, peace, and contentment. And so happiness is like that solid, grounded line that goes through our emotional system, where joy is that elation that shows up from time to time. And there's nothing wrong with it. But it's tough to live in that place of that eternal high, that elation all the time. You see, the road to freedom lies in the intelligent use of the law. And we talk about the law quite a bit. The law is no respecter of persons. The law is just how life is, how life works. And so in that place, we can embrace it and we can allow it to work in our lives. Our minds and our spirit is the echo of the eternal thing itself. The echo of the eternal thing. And so when we look at this and we talk about how this is about choice, it's about the choice in how you decide you're going to respond, how you're going to react to a situation, to a circumstance, to a conversation. Back in January, you all remember the month of January, right? It was just a few weeks ago. Back in January, something happened within our government. Something happened and social media blew up. Something happened in the political arena and a lot of people reacted and responded. And I have to say, not long after that, I noticed my oldest son put some information on his Facebook page that was a little interesting, I will say. It wasn't my belief system. It wasn't anything that I would necessarily agree with, but I could tell that he was upset, I could tell that he was angry, and I could tell that he was going to be very vocal for a while. And within a couple of days, he just kind of blew up his world on Facebook, speaking his mind, which we all have the right to do. And then he called me. He called me on the phone and he said, "I just wanted to tell you, Mom, that I have unfriended you on Facebook." And I said, "Oh, okay." And he said, "You probably haven't been on my Facebook page." And I said, "Well, I did notice some stuff was going on." And he said, "Well, here's why I did this. I didn't want you or any of the people that you support and connect with to think my views were your views. And I found that people can come to my feed through you, and I didn't want that to harm you in any way." And he said, "And I'm not done. I have a lot to say. And it's probably not going to make you feel particularly comfortable, so I thought the best thing I could do was just to remove that from your Facebook feed." People talk about getting unfriended all the time like it's the most horrible thing that could happen, and I felt so loved. I felt so blessed. And I knew that whatever he was working through, he would work through it to whatever degree he decided. He's an adult man. He didn't need me to tell him one thing or another. But I was so honored by the fact that he chose not only to make an effort on my behalf, but then he chose to call me and talk to me about it. I felt happy. We can feel happy in any circumstance, in any situation. We can think and dream about freedom, but that doesn't make us free. We have to absolutely put it into context. We have to put it into behavior. The spiritual laws that we practice teach us how to be free. They teach us how to be free from man-made ideas and opinions of others. We cannot be free, my friends, if we maim, cage, prohibit, harm, spit upon, use tear gas, or shoot others. We can only be free when we honor all of humanity, all of life, and allow it to express itself without harm, as long as we do this free from harm. Nelson Mandela said it this way: "For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others." I can live each day respectfully. I can live each day respecting the ideas, the thoughts, and the behaviors of others. We can prosper in this way as well, on this journey to freedom, making compassionate choices, making loving choices. It doesn't take away anything from me or my life to honor you. It doesn't take away anything for me to just take a deep breath and know that whatever is going on with that individual who's acting out or reacting in a way that maybe I'm not sure I care for or approve, it doesn't take anything from me to just take a deep breath in and to allow that person their expression of life. The journey to freedom is one of choice, and we can all make that choice and embrace happiness. Please pray with me. As we bring this short, brief time together to a close, we do so knowing that we are all one. We are all one, and we all live in the bosom of the divine. We all live in the heart of God. We all live in the embrace of spirit, truth, universal wisdom. And in knowing this, and knowing what our source is and where our source is and where we have come from, we know that each one of us is connected. All life is connected. Knowing this, I know that whatever I do, whatever I say, whatever I think impacts the world and the planet. And that's okay, and that's good. And so what we do this day and what we do this week is we honor that. We embrace it, and we choose that feeling of happiness, knowing that whatever is going on, I can still be happy. And I can still be that beautiful, loving expression that Spirit created me to be. And so what I know right here and right now is that all people are blessed by God. Regardless of religious beliefs, regardless of color of their skin, regardless of political ideas, regardless of where they came from or where they are going, all people are blessed in the mind of God. And I know this is good, and I know this is perfect. And so we just simply let this go, knowing that this week and these days to follow are perfect and good, and we have that wonderful choice. That choice of being happy. For that is how we were created, to express love, light, and happiness on planet Earth. And so I just release this to the mind of God, knowing it's already done, it's already unfolding in that place where all things are responded to with that resounding yes. I let it go, I let it be, and so it is.
Every life, every day is a hero's journey. Every life, every day is a hero's journey.